This program is brought to you by Link TV for educational and non-commercial use only. Mosaic, a daily news program from Link TV, presents a selection of news reports from independent and state-controlled broadcasters from throughout the Middle East.
The security situation in Lebanon is currently witnessing an escalation in its southern border as clashes kicked off between Hezbollah and Israel since 9 a.m. this morning. 2 Lebanese civilians were killed and 5 others wounded in an airstrike that destroyed the Qasimiya bridge. Israeli rescue services said 3 Israeli soldiers were killed and 8 wounded in attacks launched by Hezbollah. In a statement, Hezbollah announced the abduction of 2 Israeli soldiers, with Israeli ground troops entering southern Lebanon to search for the abducted soldier. The common forces deployed in southern Lebanon were also targeted with an Israeli warplane. The Israeli government is expected to convene in an emergency session, with the Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Olmert describing the attacks as an act of war. Follow the latest developments in this report. 2 Lebanese civilians killed and 5 others wounded in Israeli attacks in South Lebanon this morning in an airstrike that destroyed the Qasimiya bridge at the mouth of the Litani River north of the Israeli border. This Israeli raid is the consequence of Hezbollah's capture of 2 Israeli soldiers. 3 civilians, including Al-Manar television correspondent Ali Halal, were also wounded in the raid. 2 other civilians were wounded when an Israeli helicopter fired rockets in the Deir Harfa region near the border. Israeli jets flew over the port town of Sidon and nearby areas, and Lebanese army anti-craft opened up. The Israeli planes attacked positions near the village of Sultaniya, further east on the border, and Al-Manar TV said power was cut off in the village. 3 bridges were damaged by the Israeli jets. Hezbollah said they had captured 2 Israeli soldiers in cross-border attacks from Lebanon this morning, in which 3 Israelis were also reported killed. Israeli ground forces crossed into Lebanon to search for the captured soldiers. It said many troops and aircraft were taking part in searches across the border. In a statement, Hezbollah vowed to fulfill its pledge to liberate the Arab prisoners and detainees, adding that the 2 captured Israeli soldiers were transferred to a safe place without stating what condition the soldiers were in. The Israeli army said only that there were casualties in the clash and that 2 soldiers were believed to be missing. The Israeli rescue service said 3 Israelis were killed and 8 wounded in the Hezbollah attacks. The identities of the dead were not immediately clear. Hezbollah earlier fired dozens of Katyusha rockets and mortar bombs at Israeli border posts and the town. Israel troops retaliated, shelling the outskirts of 4 Lebanese border villages and trading fire with Hezbollah, killing 2 Lebanese civilians and 1 Lebanese soldier wounded in the raid on the coastal Qasimiya bridge. Israeli aircraft also bombed 3 bridges in southern Lebanon. Meanwhile, Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Olmert called a special cabinet session for 7 p.m. this evening. Olmert stressed that Hezbollah would fail and would pay a heavy price for their actions. Hezbollah followers in Lebanon set off firecrackers and distributed sweets in the streets of Beirut after the group issued its claim. The escalation on the Lebanese southern border coincided with a major Israeli military incursion in the Gaza Strip, ordered partly in retaliation for the abduction earlier this month of an Israeli soldier from a border post. Israeli tanks and troops pushed a new offensive into the central Gaza Strip early today, killing 6 in an airstrike to which Hamas's armed wing vowed a strong and painful response. Hamas's military wing confirmed today that Israel's most wanted fugitive, Hamas commander Mohammad Deif, was targeted by an Israeli airstrike, but denied the Israeli military's report that he was wounded. At least 6 people were killed in the house explosion, including 2 children, and around 30 wounded. Deif, a master bomb maker, had been targeted several times in Israeli assassination attempts and in the past has been reported to have been seriously wounded.